October 2018. A Thursday evening. Jimmy Page was sitting alone in the corner of a 60-seat blues club on a back street in Hollywood. 74 years old, silver hair falling to his shoulders, wearing a plain black jacket. Just another old Englishman that nobody around him recognized, and had no reason to. 15 minutes later, Ozzy Osbourne would walk through that same club door and recognize him instantly. But before that, the young man running the night would ask Jimmy Page if he could actually get up and play. With a smirk, Jimmy was sitting at the table farthest from the stage, alone. His face carried deep lines now, but his eyes still held that sharp focus, the kind that silently tracked every note, every chord. Founder of Led Zeppelin, one of the most influential guitarists in rock history, the man who wrote Stairway to Heaven. But just as he wanted it, nobody had recognized him that night. A few times a year, he finds clubs like this, sits in a back corner, and just listens. The arenas of tens of thousands were long behind him, but the music never leaves the man. And tonight, the music was about to say something back. The man running the open mic that night was River, 31 years old, a graduate of Berklee College of Music, and that diploma meant something. It meant discipline, it meant long nights, it meant skill, real skill. But what it didn't guarantee was a future. River moved to Los Angeles with a clear picture in his mind. Studio sessions, big artists, respect. He imagined his name being called in rooms that mattered. But years passed, and those calls never came. Instead, he found himself in rooms like this. Small, loud, forgettable, clapping for people who missed notes, encouraging performances that weren't ready. And slowly, something changed inside him. Not his ability, but his patience. Because when talent doesn't get the recognition it expects, it starts to look for validation somewhere else. And tonight, he found it, or at least, he thought he did. The night moved slowly. A few decent players, a few mistakes, a lot of noise. Jimmy didn't move, didn't react, just listened. Because he wasn't here to be impressed. He was here to feel something real. Then, the door opened, quietly, and Ozzy Osbourne stepped inside. No announcement, no attention, just presence. He scanned the room once, and then stopped. Because he saw him. Jimmy. There was no hesitation, no doubt, just recognition. But Ozzy didn't walk over, didn't interrupt. He understood the moment. So instead, he sat down and watched. River stepped forward again, this time louder, more aggressive. He played harder, his fingers striking the strings, like he had something to prove. The confidence in his face was turning into arrogance. Then his eyes landed on Jimmy, that quiet man, who hadn't clapped much, hadn't reacted, hadn't approved. He just sat there, calm, expressionless, watching, and something about that bothered River. So he smiled, not out of respect, but challenge. If you know Stairway so well, he pointed toward Jimmy, why don't you come up here and play it? A few people laughed. Others looked around nervously. The whole room shifted, because suddenly, this wasn't entertainment anymore. It was personal, and the air turned heavy, tight, because moments like this, when pride challenges silence, don't always end the way people expect. Jimmy didn't move, not immediately. He simply sat there in silence, his fingers resting lightly against the chair. The room expected a reaction, but men like him don't react to noise, they respond to meaning. And in that moment, everyone could feel the difference. The atmosphere changed. Even the air inside the room felt heavier. Across the stage area, Ozzy Osbourne leaned forward slowly, elbows resting on his knees, focused, watching carefully, because he understood something the others didn't. This wasn't about performance anymore. This wasn't about fame. And it definitely wasn't about ego. This was about respect, the kind built through decades of sacrifice, pain, survival, and music that shaped generations. Jimmy's eyes remained calm, but behind them, memories moved like storms. Crowded arenas, long nights on tour buses, the sound of thousands singing every word back to him. Moments that no classroom could ever measure. The audience sensed it too. One by one, conversations faded. Chairs stopped moving. Phones slowly lowered. Nobody wanted to interrupt the silence now, because suddenly, the silence itself felt important. Near the center aisle, someone swallowed nervously. Another shifted in their seat, waiting. The microphone stood alone beneath the stage light, empty, but somehow, it already felt powerful. Ozzy kept watching Jimmy Page carefully from the shadows, not speaking, not smiling, just waiting to see what would happen next. And deep down, everyone in the room knew something unforgettable was coming. Then, Jimmy stood up, slow, not hesitant, not weak, deliberate, like every movement already meant something. Effortless, no tension in his body, no rush to react, just presence. No anger, even after everything in the room. The noise, the ego, the subtle disrespect. He didn't carry any of it. No ego, because he didn't need the room. The room needed something, and it hadn't realized it yet. Then, something shifted. Not loud, not dramatic, but deep. The kind of shift you feel before you understand. The room fell silent. Conversations faded. Eyes started turning, one by one, until everyone was looking. Even River stopped smiling, because something changed, and he felt it too. Jimmy walked to the stage, took the guitar, and sat down. The first note, soft, clean, perfect. It didn't rush. It didn't try to impress. It simply existed. No flash, no showing off, just truth. A sound so controlled, so intentional. It felt like the room itself leaned in to listen. And suddenly, everything changed. The same people who laughed, the same voices that filled the room minutes ago, were now completely silent. Glasses stopped mid-air. Conversations died without warning. Even the clinking of ice disappeared, because this wasn't someone playing a song. This was the man who created it. Every note carried weight. Years of experience, loss, discipline, and something deeper. Something you can't learn in any classroom. He didn't need to prove anything. And that was exactly why it was undeniable. River stood frozen. The confidence he walked in with slowly slipping away. Not because he lacked talent, but because, for the first time, he was hearing something beyond it. Something real, something earned. His eyes stayed locked on the guitar, trying to understand how something so simple could feel so complete. And in that moment, he realized this wasn't about skill anymore. It was about truth. And Ozzy Osbourne just nodded slowly, not impressed, not surprised, just certain, because he understood. When he finished, Jimmy stood up. No speech, no reaction. He handed the guitar back and turned away. River didn't move, couldn't, because in that moment, everything he thought he knew felt small. Skill gets attention, but humility earns respect. Ozzy watched Jimmy walk past him. Just for a second, their eyes met. No words, none needed, because greatness recognizes greatness. Jimmy stepped out into the night, and just like that, he was gone. The room stayed silent, not because of the music, but because of what it meant. Some legends don't need attention, they just need a moment. Subscribe for more Ozzy stories like this, because the next one might change how you see greatness.